Hello friends, welcome to another video of Zeta Axis, and today we are going to see the mineral deposits in North American continent. In this video, we will discuss the minerals of coal, oil and gas, iron, copper, gold, diamond, rare earth metals and uranium within the North American continent. Here are the deposits of major minerals across the world. And one thing to notice is that these minerals are concentrated in a region. For example, if we take India, you can see that most of the minerals are concentrated in these regions, in the southern side in the Karnataka region or in this Aravalli region. Similarly, when we see the North American continent, we can clearly see that these minerals are also concentrated in specific regions. If we look closer to the map, we can clearly see that there is this band in which these minerals are located, and there is another band in this region, and very less amount of minerals are located within this central region. This region on the western side of the continent, which has maximum amount of these minerals, it is the North America Cordillera region. Here on the eastern side, we have the Appalachian Mountain region, and then this is the Canadian Shield, which has some amount of minerals, and then least amount of minerals are found in this interior lowlands. Now let's start with the coal reserves of North America, and here we can see the coal reserves across the world. We can see that North America has some significant deposits of coal, but it is lesser compared to other parts of the world. And that is why United States is at the 4th position and Canada is at the 14th position among the global coal producing countries. If we look closer at the deposits of coal in the North American continent, then we can see these are the coal deposits, which are mainly centered in the central region and in this Appalachian region. There are some coal deposits which we can see on these islands. These regions, as we already know, are the Rocky Mountain region, then we have the Appalachian Mountains over here, and then we have the interior plains in the center. So the coals are found across these three regions. We can see a very huge concentration over here, then concentration in the Rocky Mountains, and then we find some coal deposits in these interior lowlands. Moreover, these deposits that we see over here, they are also of inferior quality, which we will see in the later part of this video. Now, if we see the region-wise production, then we can see maximum amount of production occurs in this region. The size of the circle indicates the amount of coal production occurring in this region. So we can see maximum amount of production is over here, followed by this region, and then in this northern part of the Rocky Mountain region and in the interior lowlands. If we divide the region based on the type of coal that is found over here, then we can see that these different colors, they indicate different types of coal found in these regions. We can see that there are some pink dots, some orange, some white dots. We can see that these white dots are mainly in this interior region, both in the central as well as in the southern part. Here we have these orange color dots. So if we see the meaning of these, then we can see that the anthracite is the highest grade of coal, and it is indicated by this yellow color. Then we have bituminous coal, which is the second best type of coal, and it is indicated by this orange shade. Then we have this subbituminous coal indicated by the pink color, and then we have the lignite, which is indicated by the white color. This is the lowest form of coal. So if we see the region again, based on the type of coal that is produced over here, we can see that this Appalachian region has significant amount of bituminous coal. Some anthracite coal can also be seen in this region. Further, if we see, then here we have lignite deposits. This is in the interior lowlands. And here in this side, we can see that we have the subbituminous as well as bituminous coal deposits. Now let's discuss about Canada and the coal deposits in Canada. So we can clearly see that most of the coal deposits on the western side. We do not have any significant deposits in these regions in the Canadian Shield or in the interior lowlands. Some deposits can be seen on these islands, but most of the coal deposits are on the western side along the Rocky Mountains. Further, we can see over here clearly that these are mainly of bituminous type and some are of subbituminous type, and then we have these which are lignite in the southern side of Canada. Now, if we discuss the states which produce this coal in Canada, we can see that the significant amount of coal production comes from British Columbia alone, which produces 64% of the total coal produced in Canada, followed by Alberta, which produces 22%, followed by Saskatchewan, and then we have this Nova Scotia, which is an island over here. So we can see that these are the four major states which produce coal within the Canada, among which British Columbia has the significant share. Now let's move to United States of America. Here again we can see that the coal deposits are spread like this. It can also be divided across regions where most of the deposits can be seen in the Appalachian region, followed by the Rocky Mountain region, and then we have this interior lowlands where we see some coal deposits. These coal deposit regions can further be divided into three parts, that is the Appalachian coal region, interior coal region, and western coal region. Now if we see the amount of production in this region, then we can see that maximum amount of production occurs in the western coal region, indicated by this large circle over here, followed by the Appalachian region, and then by interior coal region. And if we see the type of coal that is found in these regions, then we can see that there is lignite as well as subbituminous coal in the interior coal region. We will see that highest grade of coal can be found in the Appalachian coal region. There is some anthracite over here. This is the bituminous type, and here we can see some region having yellow color, that is the anthracite coal. Then we have the western coal region, where in the northern part we have this lignite coal, and here we have subbituminous and bituminous coal. Now if we see the states producing this coal, then we can see that Wyoming has the highest share in producing coal in United States of America, followed by West Virginia, then Pennsylvania, and then Kentucky. So these are the four main coal producing states of United States of America, where 40% of coal is produced by Wyoming alone. Now we can see that here in Pennsylvania there is some anthracite deposits. So Pennsylvania is known for anthracite extraction. Now let's move to Mexico. And in Mexico we find coal deposits in the northern region. We can see that these coal deposits of Mexico are located in the state Uhala or something like that. I do not know the right pronunciation of this word. Now let's move to oil and gas reserves of North America. Again, if we see the global deposits of oil and gas, we can see that North American continent has significant deposits of oil and gas. And this can be seen in the global standings of the countries found in North America. We can see United States is right at the top of oil producing countries, followed by Canada at 4th and then Mexico at 12th. Similarly, in the production of gas, we will see that United States sits at the top and Canada is at the 5th position. So for both gas production and oil production, United States is at the top, and remember this includes all type of gas, that is shale gas as well as natural gas. Now here are the deposits of oil and gas across North American continent. You can see that it is a band which starts from this Gulf of Mexico. It spreads across the central region. Remember, here we have the Rocky Mountains, and then it goes in Canada. Here we have Lake Athabasca. So we can see right from here, Lake Athabasca, till the Gulf of Mexico. We have a continuous band. Then we have some deposits in this Appalachian region, and then there are some offshore regions in the Canadian Shield. So if we see, this is the Rocky Mountains, in which we see maximum deposits of North American continent, and then we have these Appalachian Mountains, where we see some deposits are found over here. Another deposit region is this Gulf of Mexico, where significant amount of deposits both for USA and Mexico can be found. Now let's move to Canada, and here we can see the deposits of Canada. We can clearly see this is a significant region which produces maximum amount of oil and gas for Canada, and this region is called Western Canadian Sedimentary Basin, and clearly it is the largest oil and gas producing region in Canada. Similarly, we have another region over here which is called Jeanne d'Arc Basin. This is an offshore basin. It is in Newfoundland. This is the Newfoundland, and this is the Grand Bank of Newfoundland. This is the offshore reserve. So these two regions produce the oil and gas for Canada. The states which produce oil and gas are Alberta, which produces almost 75% of oil and gas in Canada. Then we have Saskatchewan, which is second in producing the oil in Canada. Some amount of oil is also found from Newfoundland and Labrador from these offshore reservoirs. Now if we see that maximum amount of oil and gas production in Canada comes from this region. These states, Alberta, Saskatchewan and British Columbia. And all these three provinces, they produce their oil from this Western Canadian sedimentary basin, which is this basin. So all of these three states have their deposits within this basin. The Alberta over here is the world's largest producer of oil sands bitumen in the world. Its oil sands are found in the area surrounding Athabasca, Cold Lake and Peace River in northern Alberta. So this Alberta is known for producing oil from oil sands, which is a specific type of oil. Now let's see the largest gas producing states of Canada. And these states include Alberta followed by British Columbia. So Alberta in Canada produces maximum amount of gas. Now let's move to United States of America, which is also a major producer of oil and gas across the world. In fact, it is the #1 producer of oil and gas across the world. And here we can see the deposits of oil and gas across United States of America. These are the deposits. And we can see that it starts from Gulf of Mexico and it goes till this region. We have some over here. So an important basin from which the oil and gas is produced is the Permian Basin over here. It is in Texas and it is the largest oil producing region in United States. So these set of deposits belong to the Permian Basin and it is in Texas and Mexico. Second important basin from where the oil is produced is the Gulf of Mexico or the Federal Offshore. So this region is called Federal Offshore and it is a significant deep water oil production region. So this region, which is in the Gulf of Mexico, is also an important region for producing oil for United States of America. Then we have another important region over here, this region, which is called Eagle Ford Shale. It is also in Texas and it is also a major shale oil and gas producing region. So shale oil is produced from this region. Then we have the Appalachian Basin over here. It is also a large natural gas producing area. Another important region for producing shale oil is Haynesville deposits, which is again in this region. And then the last is Bakken Formation in the northern part of our United States. These are also specific deposits and they also have significant proportion of oil and gas, but we will discuss only these three. Now let's move on to the important states which produce oil and gas in the region. So starting with largest oil producing states of United States of America, which is Texas. Clearly it has very large deposits. Then we have this Gulf of Mexico, which is also federal offshore. Then we have North Dakota. So first is Texas, then we have this region which is a federal region, then we have North Dakota, and then we have New Mexico. Now let's see the largest gas producing states of USA, where again Texas is the #1, then we have Pennsylvania, and then we have Louisiana. So these three are the major gas producers of United States of America. Now let's move to Mexico. And within the Mexico also we find significant deposits of oil and gas reservoirs. The deposits are mainly concentrated on the eastern side along the Gulf of Mexico. These are the name of this deposit: Burgess Basin, Chicotepec Basin, Gulf of Mexico. Again, these are offshore regions of Gulf of Mexico. This is basically Campeche, Bay of Campeche region, where these oil and gas reservoirs are located. If we see the states which produce maximum amount of oil and gas in Mexico, then these are the states: Tamaulipas, Tabasco, and then Campeche. So these are the three states producing oil and gas within Mexico. Now let's discuss the iron reserves of North American continent. Here in the map we can clearly see the iron reserves of the world, and we can see that North American continent does not have significant amount of iron reserves. If we see the global standing, then we can clearly see that Canada is at the 8th position, followed by United States at the 9th position, and Mexico is at 13th position in iron producing countries across the globe. If we see the North American continent, then we can see that iron deposits are spread across these regions. It is in Mexico on the western coast near the lake or Superior Lake region, and then here in the Laurentian Peninsula in the Canadian Sea. So these three regions are there in the North American continent where we find the iron reserves. And if we see the production of iron, then we can see that these are the major iron producing regions in North American continent. Now let's see the iron reserves within Canada. And here we can see that these are the regions in the Laurentian Peninsula. This is our Laurentian Peninsula and within the Canadian Sea, and we find that the iron deposits are found over here. And these regions are also the maximum iron producing regions in Canada. We can see that most of the iron production occurs in this region. If we see the states which produce this iron reserve, then we can see that Quebec alone produces 57% of iron from Canada, followed by Newfoundland and Labrador, which is at 34%. So these two states, they produce almost 80 to 90% of iron ore from Canada. Next is United States. So let's see United States, and we know that United States, the iron reserves are found in the Superior Lake region. This is the Superior Lake, and here we have these deposits. There are also deposits over here, but these are the significant sources of iron ore in United States. Even if we see the production record, then we can clearly see that most of the iron ore is produced from the Superior Lake region. And this is our Lake Superior. So on both sides of Lake Superior, we have these iron ore deposits. Here, there is a mountain which is called Mesabi Range, which has most of iron ore deposits. If we see the states of United States of America which produce these iron ores, then we can see that highest amount of iron ore is produced by Minnesota, followed by the state of Michigan, which is located over here. So we can see that these two states, state of Michigan and states of Minnesota, they produce maximum amount of iron ore within United States, where Minnesota tops the list. Now moving on to Mexico. And in Mexico, we can see that the iron reserves are found on the western coast and in the northern part of Mexico. If we see the states which produce this iron ore, then we can see that these states are Michoacán. If you know the right pronunciation, I may be pronouncing these states wrong, but this is the state which produces maximum amount of iron ore within Mexico, followed by Colima, which is a very small state over here, and then we have our Coahuila, which is also a large producer of coal. It also produces iron ore in Mexico. Now let's discuss the gold reserves of North America. Again, in this global map, we can see that the North American continent has significant deposits of gold on the western side of the continent in the Cordillera region. If we see the global standings, we can clearly see that Canada and United States are respectively at 4th and 5th position, and Mexico is at 6th position. Canada produces almost 7% of total gold in the world, while United States produces approximately 5.5% of total gold produced in the world. So you can see that these two are significant producers of gold, but they are not as significant as China, Russia, and Australia. If we see the gold deposits across the North American continent, we can see that these are the deposits across the western side of the continent. We see significant deposits, and then here in the Great Lakes region, we see some deposits of gold over here. As we have already discussed, this is the North American Cordillera region where most of the deposits are located. Now, if we see the gold deposits in Canada, then we can clearly see that most of the deposits are in the western side and then in the eastern side. Here are also the gold deposits. And if we see the states which produce maximum amount of gold in Canada, then Ontario is on 45%, followed by Quebec, which is at 26%, and then British Columbia at 9%. We can see that maximum amount of gold is produced on the eastern side from Ontario and Quebec within Canada. Now if we come to United States of America, we will see that on the western side we have Nevada. Nevada alone produces 78% of the total gold produced by United States of America. Remember, Nevada alone produces 5% of gold production. So this is a very significant proportion of gold produced across the United States as well as for the whole world. The other regions which produce gold in United States are Alaska, which is at 7%. Then we have Colorado and California, which produce this gold at slightly lesser amount. So remember, Nevada alone produces 78%, and it is a very significant state for producing gold in United States. Now moving on to Mexico, we will see that the gold producing regions are within the central region. And the states which produce gold are Sonoran, Zacatecas, and Chihuahuan. This is a desert region. So we can see that Sonora is the highest gold producing region of Mexico. Now after gold, let's discuss the diamond reserves of North America. Again, we can see here the diamond regions across the world, and we can see that there are very less diamond reserves in North American continent. In fact, they are only produced in Canada. If you see the standing, then we can see that Canada is at the third position. Now remember, the counting or the evaluation of diamond produced by state is very complicated. So this ranking will depend on the source that you are using. In fact, for some years you will find that some of the data is missing. So if you see the United States, we can see that diamond mines are located in the northern Canada region, and it is located in the state of Northwestern Territories. This is a northern state of Canada, which is Northwest Territories, and within this state only we see that diamond are produced in Canada. Another smaller producer of diamond is Ontario as well as Quebec. Very less amount of diamond is produced in these two regions. Now we move on to America, where Arkansas is also known for producing very small quantity of diamonds. Now let's move on to copper reserves of North America. Here is again the global deposition of copper across the world, and we see that there is significant amount of copper deposits across this western region. So as we have discussed in the first slide, we can see that most of the deposits of North American continent are either in the Cordillera region or in the Appalachian region, but significant is in this region, that is the Cordillera region. So again, the copper is deposited right across this Cordillera, right from Mexico till Canada or Alaska. If we see the global standing of North American countries, we will see United States is at the 5th position in copper producing countries, Mexico is at 10th, and Canada is at 12th. Here is the deposits of copper across the North American continent, and we have seen it is on the western side, and then in this Canadian Shield or the Great Lake region we find the copper deposits. This is the North American Cordillera. We have discussed it again and again that most of the copper resources as well as other resources are located in the Cordillera region, and here we see in the Canadian Shield, in this lake region, we see copper deposits. Now let's move on to Canada and see the deposits of copper across Canada. So we can see the deposits of copper across Canada. Some are on the western side, then we have this region in the middle, and then we have on the eastern side on these islands. So copper is produced across the Canada, and the major states which produce copper in Canada are British Columbia, which produces 45.8% of copper in Canada, followed by we have this Ontario, which produces 43.7%. So you can see that these two states, they produce almost 90% of copper in Canada, followed by Quebec, which produces significantly low amount of copper. Now move on to United States of America. Here again in United States of America, we can see the deposits which are mostly on the western side, and we can see that Arizona alone produces 70% of copper in United States of America. Then we have Utah, followed by New Mexico. So Arizona is the single biggest producer of copper in United States of America. Now let's move on to Mexico. And within Mexico, we also see that the deposits of copper are spread across this region. And if we see the states which produce, then we have again Sonora, which produces maximum amount of copper in Mexico, followed by Zacatecas. Now let's discuss the lithium reserve of North America. Now with the advent of electric vehicles, lithium has become a very important mineral, and therefore its reserves are also important from the UPSC point of view. So these are the lithium reservoirs across the world. We can see that there are some significant amount of deposits in North American continent. And if we see the global standing, then we see that United States is at the 5th position. Remember, this is an estimated value because United States does not declare the amount of lithium produced there due to some reasons. So based on estimates, United States is located on the 5th position. If we see the lithium deposits across the North American continent, then we can see there are spread in America on the western coast, in the lake region, then on the eastern side, in the coastal region, and some in the northern region. So let's discuss about the lithium in Canada. And here we can see that most of the production of lithium in Canada occurs in Quebec. Canada currently provides lithium from two mines, and they are located in Quebec and Manitoba, where Quebec is the largest producer of lithium, followed by Manitoba. Remember, even though these reserves are there and they are detected, but they might be difficult to extract. And therefore, you see that not all the places where this lithium is present, lithium is extracted. So currently, Quebec is the highest producer of Canada, followed by Manitoba. Now let's move on to United States of America. And we can see that here the deposits are both in the western and eastern side, but we see that Nevada has a mine which is Abermale Silver Peak mine in Nevada, and it is the only operating lithium mine in the United States. So this is the only operating lithium mine which produces lithium in United States of America, although there are these deposits. So currently there is no extraction going on, but in future we may expect that these regions will also produce lithium. Now beside Nevada, there are some sources in North Carolina as well as California. So there are many smaller regions from which this lithium is produced. So that is North Carolina and California, but Nevada is the single largest producer of lithium within United States of America, where there is a dedicated lithium mine. Mexico does not have significant deposits of lithium, and it does not produce significant amount of lithium. So here we are done with the deposits of lithium within North American continent, and now we will discuss the deposits of rare earth metals in North America. Now the rare earth metals are basically a group of these 17 metals which we can see. So these all metals are called rare earth metals, and even though the name suggests rare earth metal, they are really not rare. They are found everywhere across the world. The only thing is that they are found in relatively less concentration. So it is very difficult to extract them. So the regions where they are found in significant amount, there it is extracted. This series is called lanthanide series, and then there are these three elements. So these elements, that is these 14 elements and these three elements, they together form the 17 rare earth minerals. Here we can see the deposits of rare earth minerals across the world, and we can see that there are significant deposits of rare earth minerals within United States of America. But remember, the extraction process is very costly as well as very polluting. Therefore, even though it is found in large quantity across the world, there are many countries who do not prefer to extract the rare earth metals. And therefore, if we see the global standing, we can see that China is the leader, way ahead of anyone. And then we have United States, Myanmar, Australia, Thailand, Niger, India. The United States is at the second position. Even though Canada has significant amount of rare earth minerals, they do not extract them. If we see the deposits of rare earth minerals across North American continent, we can see that they are spread all across North America. They are on the western side, they are on the eastern side, and they are in the northern region of Canada. Now if we see the deposits of rare earth minerals in Canada, we can see that they are spread mainly across Northwestern Territories, that is a province in Canada in the northern region. Canada has large rare earth deposits, but no active large-scale mining is going on. We see that after Northwest Territories, we have deposits in Quebec. So these are the two main regions where we find deposits of rare earth minerals. And similarly, if we move to United States of America, again we can see that deposits are spread across the United States of America. But if we see the production, then the production is mainly in the California. Here there is only one active rare earth mine in US. So this is the Mountain Pass mine in California, which is the only active mine of rare earth minerals in United States of America. So as I said earlier, even though there are large deposits of rare earth minerals across United States of America or several other countries, but because of the large pollution extracting them creates, countries do not prefer to extract them. Again, there is Wyoming and Arizona, which also has some deposits of rare earth minerals. However, the active production on large scale is not going on over there. Next, we will discuss the uranium reserves of North America. Now we know that because of its nuclear capabilities, uranium becomes an important mineral across the world. So here is a map. The data of uranium reserves is not freely available, so we will be using this map, which is from IAEA. So we can see that the red dots, which you can see over here in these regions indicate the place where the uranium is mined. And if we go to the global standing, then we can see that Canada is the second largest producer of uranium across the world. Kazakhstan in our Central Asia is the largest producer, followed by Canada. So if we go to the map of North American continent, we can see that there are significant reserves in this region, that is the Lake Athabasca region, then around the Great Lakes, and in this central region on the western side of US. We see significant deposits of uranium. Now if you move to Canada, we can see that there are large deposits of uranium in the central region as well as here in the Great Lake region of Canada. And we already know that this region is the Lake Athabasca region. So near this Lake Athabasca region in the Saskatchewan state of Canada, we have Cigar Lake and MacArthur River mines. So these are the two main mines of Canada from which uranium is extracted or produced. And it is located in Saskatchewan province of Canada. Now, if you move to United States of America, then we can see that significant resources of uranium are on the western side. In fact, in this Central Plateau region. And here, if we see, then we will find that the state of Wyoming is the highest producer of uranium, followed by Mexico and Texas. These three states are the significant producer of uranium in United States of America. Now, if you go to Mexico, then we will see that Mexico has some deposits in Chihuahuan region, but there is no extraction or major extraction process going on in Mexico. So I hope you liked our video on the mineral resources of North American continent. We have tried to include all the important minerals and give you clarity where these minerals are located. If you have liked the video, then do subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. If you like what we are doing, then you can support us using the Paytm ID indicated over here. Thanks for watching the video.